Alright guys, Beeline here, back with more Little Nightmares. When did I last record? Was it last night? I don't even remember anymore. But either way, we're back. It's actually relatively early. It is 10:54. Really just going straight into recording here. Didn't really want to bother with much else. I wasn't able to record any of this morning because I did record my Celebrity Big Brother review or part of it, and then something else. What are we doing? I am listening to the RJP roundtable, so I guess we'll just continue doing
stuff. It feels wrong. It doesn't feel like in the spirit of the game. It feels bad.
Yeah, I feel like it's another example, and I think we see it time and time again, of people in the house just classifying somebody as enemy. You're an enemy, and it's less what she did and just more that she is now the enemy. It's like, I mean, you did a bunch of things. Remember those things you did? Like you saw it, and how that just turns off your empathy, and you are just you start treating them in a way that is kind of gross, right?
Nope.
And
Cool.
You'd think that the fan base would learn from that, but the fan base does it too, like all the time. And it's something that we get to watch the details of how this happens. Of just like you've been convinced these are the pieces of evidence, and now that person is garbage, and we hate them, and we will be as cruel to them as humanly possible, because that is the only humane thing to do at this point. Like it's wild how that works.
Oh, fuck off.
The thing is that, depending on maybe who you were thinking about when I said that, you were either like, yeah, that's terrible, or no, but in this case, it's right. And that's the problem, right? Because in Carson and Cynthia's case right now, they're like, well, in this case, it's right, but it's not. They're wrong. And that's dangerous.
Yeah, they've somehow also like convinced themselves that Shayna was the bad guy, like that Todrick's like the things that he told Carson and Cynthia about Shayna are actually true, and that she is a bad person, and that she is playing a dirty game, and that she is this and that. And so because of that, they are the good guys, and that the internet and America is going to see that she was the bad guy, and that we're like, they'll be grateful that we got her out, because she's so bad. And it is very weird to see, and this happens many seasons, where people are convinced that they're the good guys, and so because they're the good guys, it gives them free reign to do whatever to the quote unquote bad guys. And I don't know how. I don't know. I guess maybe it's like main character syndrome, where everyone thinks that they're like the hero of their own story, and so I can't imagine me going into that house and doing bad things, because I'm like, well, I'm the good guy. You would say that you're the bad guy. Yeah, you'd think you'd notice, oh, I'm the one doing all these bad things. I must not be the good guy. But you just must believe that you're the hero, and so you just convince yourself that everything you're doing is in furtherance of the hero's goal. And instead, it's wait, you're actually the bad guy. I don't know.
Well, I do think that Carson is kind of trying to. I don't think that Carson's fully convinced that what they did was the right thing to do, because even after he's like, oh, I'm glad that Nisha, that you explained what went down so that people would understand why we were voting her out, because I think there's this kind of I don't know this game, and if they're telling me that what she was doing is bad and wrong for the game, and we have to get her out because of this, they know better than me, so I guess I have to do that. And so, okay, I'm glad you explained that to the audience, because I don't even understand why we voted her out, because I think it was maybe a bad idea, but you tell me that it's a good idea. So
yeah, but if you're telling America it's the right move, then I know it's the right move. So I'm glad. And then when they were like, well, when America gets out and sees, that we were telling the truth, it's but you weren't. This is all fake. Okay. It just is and it was bad to see the second she leaves the session, and it's just like they all were just like being mean to her, and it doesn't sit well.
This is a psychological phenomenon that happens where if your belief is challenged, sort of like a superficial challenge, not like a deep structural foundational conversation, but just like your belief is challenged. Instead of accepting the challenge or considering other viewpoints, you tend to go in the opposite direction. Whether or not it's challenged with facts or good evidence against your point of view, you will actually go further into your viewpoint and get more defensive and more you believe it even more. And in the Big Brother house, when Shayna is arguing her case, or when Shayna is doing things, or when any moment that Carson has an inkling of doubt, the instinct there is to then speak out loud, like, well, she sucks for this reason though. And wasn't that thing she just did on her way out the door, that's the proof that I need. That's the proof that I need this moment that proves that she was, and that was such a terrible thing to do. And then as the doubt creeps in again, well, though, but then the way she dresses really too, if you think about it, definitely proves that she was really
Blonde
bad.
hair.
Yeah.
Yes, and so we see this. It's a very
What am I
cyclical
doing?
thing, and it just digs and digs and digs. And you see how somebody, even like Carson, like who would have imagined that Carson would fall victim to something like this? But he is deep in it at this point, and
It's like a cult.
it is. I mean, it's a cult of your own mind, really. I mean, it's scourge. It's terrible. It ruins all things in society.
Yeah. It's
Drink
also
some
hard,
Kool-Aid.
like, you would think that, especially for these celebrities, like, okay, it's one thing when you're in the house for, like,
Oh,
whatever, 90
can I go
days, and you're just, like, you forget that the cameras are there, and you're just, like, living your life, and then, like, you forget that everything you say can be seen by people, maybe, or at least that's what they say. But these celebrities have been in the house for, like, what, like 2 weeks? I feel like you would think you'd still be, like, kind of aware of that, the fact that the cameras are there, and also, like, you're used to having cameras around and like maintaining an image and like making sure that you're presenting yourself well, and you'd think that like they would be more attuned to that, like, oh,
But
maybe
that's what encourages them to
to
speak out even more, because they think that every time they say it out loud, they're convincing the audience
Right,
just as
right.
much as they're convincing themselves.
Right.
And what in reality, they're just digging themselves a deeper hole.
It's true. Yeah, because I'm sure they're like, yeah, but did you see this or that? Yeah, but when she said this, it's like we're sitting there thinking, stop talking about her. She's out of the house. Stop.
And
But
they're thinking, well, I just convinced that last person that still didn't
yeah,
think
like
so.
we're all sitting here like, but why? And they're
This
like,
is the
oh,
point.
but you need to understand. Like we
What
didn't
am I-
maybe mention
what
this
am I
part.
doing
It's like,
here?
no, we don't need to hear any more of it. Thanks.
Mhm.
At all.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. This is why I am such a fan of Big Brother. Really, that even in the darkest moments, right? There's still stuff to learn
I don't get what
and
I'm
to
doing.
sort of examine in how people behave in the house, and that is interesting.
Wait,
to
what?
me.
Oh, I was supposed to go in the door.
The
Even
social
when-
Just that
experiment
shit.
of it all, right?
Truly. So of course, Carson he took out Shayna. He did it, and then Todd won the following HOH. Now this morning on the update, I said that Todd had mentioned to Misha that the plan would be for Carson to go up on the block as the target, and if Carson won the veto, that perhaps Lamar would be the replacement and perhaps the target as well, and that Cynthia would probably end up on the block next to Carson initially. However, those were not completely set in stone plans, and by this morning, Todd had come up with an alternative idea. He approached Todrick and Todd about it, that he was thinking, okay, what if I use a pawn? Because if I use a pawn, then if Carson
what
wins
the
the veto, I can say to Carson, if you take yourself down, Cynthia will replace you, and then we will vote Cynthia out. So this is a way for them to convince Carson to not use the veto, even if he wins. And that's the idea. And so he pitched this to Todrick and Lamar. Todrick was like, no, this is a terrible idea. And then Todd said, no, it's Lamar that I would be using as a pawn. And then Todrick said, oh, that's a great idea. That's a best case scenario, actually.
Oh God, of course.
That's genuinely what happened. And Lamar was also like, yeah, I'm cool with it because I don't care if I leave. So, you know, it's a win-win scenario. If I go home, then yay. If I don't, then whatever.
Isn't Lamar our only hope now?
Lamar is our only hope, and like this is what we get for that. Thanks.
Yeah. So the plan changed, and the plan became Carson and Lamar are going to go up on the plot. Carson was pretty happy.
Oh, what the fuck? That scared shit out of me. I didn't realize it was gonna. He just head all the way back there.
Which is true. But the real question is if these nominations remain the same, and these nominations have, in fact, gone into place. Carson and Lamar are nominated for eviction. If they stay that way, you would imagine that Carson is the one to go. However, there's been a little bit of drama between Lamar and Todrick that we'll also talk about that could imply that maybe they'll have the idea Todrick and Misha get all the votes. 3 votes total. They have 2.
We had the Cyberpunk PS5
you know
version
what?
came out
Carson
today.
is going to stick
That's
to a
something.
Final Four
We
deal.
installed
Lamar's
it.
been talking about coming after us.
I won't play for a bit.
Me off.
Got some other games
So
I
they
need to
could
play.
just vote
But
Lamar out at this point. And then you also have the consideration that if Carson does win the veto and he doesn't listen to the idea that, like, don't use it on yourself because we'll put up Cynthia, that he could still use it on himself. Cynthia could go up. And then at that point, you probably, again, go, well, I'd probably prefer Lamar to leave than Cynthia at this point. He's a bigger threat and he's actually coming for us.
Why wouldn't Carson just use it on himself? Like, I mean, yes, Cynthia goes up, but who cares? I don't know, like, I feel like I get that he wants her to stay as well, but would he, I mean, I guess, is he in his intention to have her stay over him?
I think for Carson, a bigger win than actually winning the game would be to, like, go out protecting his friend, doing an honorable thing. You know what I mean?
God. I'm just you saying that makes me so mad. Like, it's just hearing that, like, yeah, to do the honorable thing of protecting his friend. It's like, what are we doing here? like everyone, let's think for a second. What are we doing here? Because what is any of this for? Like, why? Why? We've got, like, the worst cast. Like, okay, sorry everyone, but no one was thrilled about the cast. Like, yeah, I sat there being like, guys, what were you expecting? But, like, I also, like, wasn't thrilled by it, but I wasn't thinking I was going to be. So, like, okay, fair and square, you give us a cast that we don't like, fine. Whatever. We expected that from you guys at this point. So we have a cast we don't care about. None of the celebrities that we're like, oh, these are celebrities that we want to see. We want to know their personalities. We want to get to know them in a house. We want to see them play Big Brother. No, we don't. We don't care. So we already have a cast we don't care about. So get that out of our minds that we're going to have something fun there. So at least, at the bare minimum, maybe we can get some, like, cast members who actually want to play, who actually care about the game. Oh, no, we don't. Because the game starts up, we already have, like, 5 people who just want to go home and are like, can I be put on the blast, please? It's like, everybody's trying to leave. Okay, so we already have that. The rest of the cast, like, doesn't care about the game, doesn't know about the game, are asking questions about, like, what do I, as a retail player, like, play it on themselves? What's going on here? So nobody knows about it. They didn't even go through, like, any sort of training or any sort of, like, let me watch the season. Maybe they weren't.
Oh, what?
They certainly didn't care about it. So we don't have anybody who cares. Then we have, like, 2 people who care about it, and yet they're awful. And we don't, like, want to see them play. They're just, like, mean and nasty, and we don't want to see it, and it's just awful. And then you've got, like, any chance of a good season out the door, back to back. We literally have Chris Kirkpatrick and Shayna lead back to back. So our only hopes for anything
both people who gave up
happening were those 2. And then everybody else is a total flop and just wants to save their friends and just wants to, like,
and that's literally what Chris Kirkpatrick did.
Wait, they are actually 2 people trying to win, and, like, it's just, oh, okay, and then we get to the end, people already are just gonna vote for their friend because nobody cares. Like, I just feel like, what are we doing here? Like,
Yeah, what's
what
the
is
point?
the point of any of this? Because if this is a game,
Fuck.
then let it be a game. But don't just like sit there and have everybody just be like, I don't care about this, so I'm just gonna like leave and be fine with it. And then at the end of it, like, we're all just gonna vote for who we like the best because we don't care about the game itself,
I
and
mean,
we're outside the house, we're not sequestered, we're
it's
watching
arbitrary.
the game, or we're not watching and we don't care, we're just letting Twitter influence us or whatever. Like, what is the point of this if not to watch a game and be entertained by the game, or to watch the game and be entertained by the players? Like, what are we doing here? Let's end the podcast. Let's move on. What are we?
I'm wondering if it would be better for Celebrity Big Brother if we took kind of the format of the UK, where the audience actually did get to vote, because then at least
All right.
we can have.
Well, now we're just
Just get rid of it. Like, what
Well,
are
like,
we
they
doing?
don't care. Like, at least we care enough to, like, we would be making decisions.
Fuck.
And they can see what we feel about people and like their decisions that they're making. So
We tried that already. It was OTT.
that's true.
It's,
It didn't come back.
I'm
Yeah, and then we all
Um,
hated each other, so that
yeah.
was great.
That's true.
That turns the entire audience into one big Big Brother game.
Fuck.
And,
Could be more interesting though, maybe.
no, I think, at the start of the season, when it looked like things might be fun, people were like, aha, see, we don't need fans of the game. We don't need people who, know the show. It's all about the messiness. It's all about bringing in these personalities. And I think we're seeing the result of that.
Where are the personalities?
Yeah, you need people that have a level of interest in what they're doing, and people that know the show or know the game are a lot more likely
What?
to
It doesn't
have
even
a
give you
vested
time.
interest in winning the game. Carson, who is a great personality, I think you would have said great personality, will be fun to watch in the house. He is great at the DRs. Knows nothing about Big Brother, has zero interest in the show, the history, the game. He literally was just like, oh yeah, my January's free. I think I could swing by. And this is the result. And like the people that do care, they're just just taking each other out to keep all of the people that don't in the game, so that they can just kind of walk their way to the end. I think you need people that are invested, and that is the key difference between a cast like Big Brother Canada 9 and Celebrity Big Brother Season 3, where the Big Brother Canada 9 cast was very messy, but a lot of them were fans of the show. They were just really bad at the game. But they cared a lot because they knew the show and they knew the history, and they were like really invested.
Yeah, it's like everybody saying, well, you don't need to have just like fans of the show. Like, good people, like there can be good players who didn't know the show or who aren't like super fans or whatever. And yes, that's true. But you have to start at a base level of wanting to play. Like, I feel like that's what we're missing here. Is like we're missing the idea of like
What?
these people actually wanting to be there. And I think we got that sense from those initial interviews. Like when they were just like, what's your strategy going in? I'm just gonna be myself and hang out. Like, I think I'm gonna have a fun summer or whatever. It's like, wait, what the heck is going on?
What? How is that
Whereas,
missing?
it just seemed like nobody cared, like, going into it. And so I was kind of like, okay, these interviews are not great, but maybe once they get in the house, they're gonna be like wanting to stay, so that way they can be around longer and be seen longer, whatever. At least we could have that. Maybe they don't care about actually winning, but at least they might want to stick around. Instead, the feeds start up and everyone wants to already go home. They're like, yeah, I kind of did what I needed to do. I got the big announcement of my name. I got to do some like interview press, and that's sufficient. That's good enough. Just get my name out there. Like that's really what it seemed like, is like the actual, and like getting the money from just showing up, and then getting like peanuts for staying week by week. Like that obviously, I think, brings something to the table, because they want to get there to show up at the house, get their paycheck, and then those additional like $5,000 increments, like take it or leave it. If I'm not having fun, I'm gonna go home. Well, Big Brother's usually not fun, I'll tell you. So like, if your thought is like, I'm just gonna stay as long as I'm having fun, like, you're not gonna stay more than 5 minutes. So I just feel like that's what we're missing here is like, you know, any sort of like, want to play. And I think that's what we had in season 1 of Celebrity Big Brother, where almost everybody there, like, I have to say, yes, were a few quiz that get that. Like, there were a few people who were like, I'm just gonna go home. But like, half the cast at least was like, I'm here to play, I'm here to win. I know this game. Maybe they're not like super fans, but they at least knew the game and what they were getting themselves into. And so they were able to kind of like use that to create a fun, interesting game all the way through. And you have these, you have these big personalities, but you also have these big personalities who care. So, I mean, we're missing both of those things in this season.
You would think, though, that because of their celebrities and they're used to going and performing on camera or whatnot, that they would take it a little bit more seriously and do a little bit of homework so that they can go and put their best foot forward. Like, if I was a celebrity and I was going to go on a show, what's Big Brother? Like, I would watch every season I could before I went to the house, so I'd be armed with information so I can do a good job. And so I think that probably their publicists or whoever got them the gig failed them with like what they could have been doing for prep work to like come on the show, because it hasn't been fun watching these people. Like, their personalities aren't coming through enough for it to be exciting just to see them living playing this game, because they're not playing at all. I need to see more gameplay.
I think it's tough. Like, if you're a celebrity, you do these kinds of shows all the time. You can't watch every show that you go on if that's your job, right? And most shows they go on probably wouldn't require nearly the amount of investment. Like, you go on Dancing with the Stars, like, I don't know dancing. Like, you maybe learn dancing, but you wouldn't like be like, I need to watch the show to know the ins and outs of Dancing with the Stars, or anything like that, right? Like, I think part of it is they clearly were not prepared for it, because like, here's the thing. The way that I look at casting for Celebrity Big Brother is that they are trying to con people into coming on their show.
I do believe that.
Big upfront payment. You'll make a bunch of money if you show. All you need to do is show up, and it'll take like a month, but it's fun. It's good work. And you'll make some connections. There'll be other celebrities in there. You make lifelong friends. Lots of married people come to this show.
Challenges.
It's gonna be great. You'll get to wear some costumes, and they'll be not embarrassing, I promise. And so, they come on the show and they're like, what is happening?
I think that's why we see so many people right off the bat, I want to go home. Yeah, I don't want to.
Yes. And it's like, if you have to trick people to be on the show, this is not the right people. Like, these are not the right people to cast. There are celebrities out there that care about, Nicole Maines. I talked to her on the Taryn show. She's not like Carson Crescent, right? Like, you probably have not heard of Nicole Maines, but she's very popular. She's an incredible person. Would love to play on the show. There are plenty of people like her, I'm sure, that are capable of coming on and playing hard and being interesting. But I think they're really going for remember the OJ trial? Those are the people that they're really trying to draw in. Those people are not sticking around. In my opinion, those are not the people. They're going to tune in to see, Kato Kaelin go, my stomach hurty ouchie, and then they're going to be like, oh, that's weird, and then they're out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's either you either need to actually go for it and shell out the big bucks and get gigantic personalities on the show, and maybe they don't care as much, but you at least have a couple weeks of fun clips or whatever, and you
if you had Will Smith and Brad Pitt in the Big Brother house, they could lie around talking about integrity all day long, and people would be into it.
Right, because you'd be interested in hearing what they have to say. So I feel like it's either you go for it, you shoot for the fences or whatever, and you actually go out there and shell out the money, and you get the big celebrities to hang out in a house under the guise of this is actually Big Brother, but really who cares because they don't need this. And then it's okay, that's the draw. Or you go for people who maybe, like you said, like aren't as well known by everybody, by like the big, majority of people, but are really interested in playing. Like, maybe if it's like influencers or whatever who like actually are interested in playing the game. Like, I'm not saying I like that is like my favorite idea ever, but I do think like if they're looking for people with followings and they're gonna call it like celebrity or whatever, then like yeah, they get people who actually care, no matter who they are, no matter if I've heard of them or not. Like, I don't care if they're very interested in playing, rather than playing this middle ground where it's like they don't care about playing,
and they're not,
but they're also not well known. So at least we get a little bit of like both those things. It's like, well, not really. You're just kind of like running on the middle. It doesn't help either way. Either go one way or go the other way. But like this middle ground where like they don't care about playing and they're not big celebrities, so nobody cares. Like, what are we here for?
Well, I wonder why they haven't even tapped into their own resources. Like CBS has had probably hundreds of thousands of people that have come through and been leads on their shows, and so I'm wondering why they couldn't maybe tap into that, or even like Love Island. Like, at least see some of these people. They might not be amazing, but they would be interested in maybe be on the show and actually playing the game. So I'm wondering why they're not tapping into their own well. Right now.
Yeah, and I think, to be fair, I do think that they succeeded in the first two seasons. I think the first season was great. The second season, there were definitely, again, some quitters in the first season that ruined some evictions. Definitely, dragged that down a little bit. The second season had, some toxicity issues at times, for sure. But they were both entertaining seasons. I think the problem is that their formula is dried up already. Like, if this is what we're getting now, if this is like the best we can come up with after a few years off, then
and a pandemic.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's the other thing. It's like, what are these people doing? Like, what are celebrities doing right now other than like nothing or this? Like they should be able to get like good celebrities. I feel like the first season, the cast list was announced and it was like, whoa, like okay, we were actually kind of impressed with the level of like people they got, just because we were expecting like nobody, and then we were impressed by that, and they did have some people who were interested in playing, but I feel like for the most part, like they really went for like the names. Like you've got Omarosa, Ross Matthews, like like these people are big names, or at least for a lot of people. And then the second season, I feel like they went more for like gamers, like people who are interested in playing. I felt like most of the people, from my perspective, were like really into gameplay, to the point where, like you said, there was like some toxicity there with those people. But they really went for like the gaming. This season, they haven't gone for either of those things. And the chat is bringing up a good point. I think if they took a page out of like Celebrity Apprentice's book and did it for like charity, I think they could get bigger names. Like I think that like if they're not doing it for like a stipend or whatever, and they're doing it for like I'm playing for a charity, I do think you could get bigger people there to be like, I'm doing this for this charity, whatever. Like rather than like, because I think for like larger celebrities or like bigger names, it might seem like sad to like do it, that like to be like, I need this money to go going on Big Brother to win this money, which is not even that much money. Whereas like if you were going to play for charity, then you're doing a good thing. You're being a good person by playing for this charity. Like I do feel like that was allowed the Celebrity Apprentice to get much bigger names.
Well, I think the Celebrity Apprentice is also like much more flexible shooting schedule. Like they were able to bow out during certain weeks if they had their own stuff going on. It also sort of like props them up as like experts in the business field at times. I think there are a lot of conveniences to that show that Big Brother is live feeds. You're stuck there the whole time. It's super
What if they
stressful.
just half and half? What if they gave some money to you and some money to charity? Because
or like you have to make a decision at the end.
Right. That'd be good. I feel like, yeah, can you imagine? I'm gonna keep the money for myself. I think like bringing someone in, like offering them money to like come in, that's good, and then offering them money for charity, like the longer they stick around or whatever, like that could be good, because then it's like gives you more incentive to say I want to stay because, or like I don't. If you say like I want to go home, I don't care about my charity or whatever, like that's not going to be a good look for you. So like it gives more incentive to stick around longer. I think that could be, you know, a good incentive is like they get the initial stipend for showing up, and then week by week they're earning money from the charity or something like that, just so that like it gives them a reason to stay, and then like we can point to them and be like, you didn't want to keep like stick around for your charity? That's for charity, you know? I don't know, guilt factor.
Guilt factor. Well, in the house, there's still, as I mentioned, the Lamar thing is, I think, primary concern. Is Lamar has kind of, I think, by default become the consensus sort of pick for people to win, since he's the only one that didn't back for Shayna. Lamar is in some trouble. Some of it's his own doing here. As I said, volunteered pretty much for the block. And he's sick of Todrick. Again, why I think Lamar is definitely the choice of the people at the moment. He's tethered to Todrick, really, really sick of it. He decided that Todrick worked Bard's
That's not sick at all. What the fuck?
Ripped him up. He was like, I'm just gonna rip these up here.
You know he's so sick of it when Todrick brings up like I was 5 Broadway shows, and Lamar's like,
Oh, what the fuck? I missed the button. I forgot to push hard too.
Are you talking to me? And Lamar's like, I'm just talking to myself.
Yeah.
It's just so funny. He just like does not care anymore. He's so fed up.
Yeah, and Todrick is getting very annoyed with Lamar as well. It's a cold war that's often getting hot over the course of the day. So Lamar's safety definitely in question again, as Todrick and Misha have power over who is the victim ultimately this week. And that's where we are heading into the veto. Everyone is going to be playing. So, Shayna situation. But if Cynthia wins, she will take Todrick down will take Carson down, and Lamar, I think at that point, is if Carson wins, they're going to try and not take himself down. Who knows at that point? I would imagine that he would go to Misha and Todrick and be like, hey, our deal still stands, right? Like, you're not going to vote me out. Or Cynthia out, and then they have to go either no or yes or whatever. But you know, it could get weird, because who knows with these people. If Lamar wins, they've actually talked to him. They've told him to don't take yourself down if you win. I assume he won't, I guess, because he wanted to be up there in the first place. And then if anybody else wins, they're just going to keep it the same. And then that choice between Carson and Lamar, I think, you know, the default choice here is Carson. But with everything that's happening with Lamar, there's definitely some reason.
All right, I think we'll end here. Next episode, continue on for now. Thank you, Roger.